Today we're talking to Judi Connelli, who is one of the greatest voices Australia has ever produced. I don't think you should look surprised. Everybody thinks so. Currently starring in the Opera House in the return season of Sweeney Todd, which is pretty amazing given that it's supposedly difficult, and yet it's one of the greatest hits they've ever had. And you are Mrs. Lovett.
Correct.
I would like you to tell us about Mrs. Lovett.
Well, what can I say? Mrs. Lovett is probably when I say the worst character, the character that is the most evil character in it. So she sort of cooks up all the plots, and
the rest.
And the rest, that's right. And she, because she's madly in love with Todd, Sweeney Todd, who has come back into her life, and she sort of then joins in his vengeance plot, and of course everyone knows that sort of that side of things doesn't really work, so we all die in the end. But it's the most extraordinary piece of theatre, really, and the design of this particular piece and the direction is just breathtaking. So it's a wonderful thing to be a part of, and it's sort of as from the beginning to the end, it just doesn't stop with the energy and the high pace of it. So and it's remembering everything.
Yes, it is. Well, I think Mrs. Lovett, in case people don't know, is a very nice lady who makes pies out of the murder victims of Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street.
Yeah.
And
so she'll do anything.
It's enough to put you off pies, but
yes. People are saying that to me. They'll never feel the same about a pie.
I was wondering whether you have a favourite pie recipe, or whether you actually eat them at all.
I eat vegetarian pies. Yes, I can't go for the other. In fact, I am a vegetarian, so that's probably a good thing. But yes, the pie is an interesting thing. Look, truly, there's a prop in this that I can't actually look at. It's a bucket of bones, and I'm, slicing up people and putting them into the pies. It's terrible, isn't it? It's terrible, but it's so funny. It's hysterical, this piece.
It is wonderful.
It's absolutely, ball of laughs, really.
Well, I think mass murder is either really funny or not. In this case, it's...
well, it has to be.
It's a great story.
Yeah, it has to be funny.
It's set in, 17th, 18th century London?
Yes, just on the turn of, I think, and it doesn't stop moving. It's just the most wonderful thing to... I've never seen it from the front, but I had a daughter. I had a daughter see this piece from the front.
Yes, that would be good. How would you arrange that?
I don't know.
Who would you kill?
Yeah, well, that's right. Put the understudy on, I guess, yeah. And I'm not planning to do that.
Right, okay. So after Sweeney, which is, this is 2 seasons of it now, isn't it? Well, so this lot and then the first lot.
Yes, well, we started in 2001, in the time of the 9/11 incident in America, which was very unfortunate. So it was 2001, and then we did it in Melbourne in 2002. And then I did it with another gentleman who was playing the lead in Brisbane in 2003. So it's had a fantastic run ever since the opera company included it in their repertoire.
Do you notice, has there been a difference in the way that it's publicly accepted from 2001 to now? Has anything changed?
I think there's probably a little bit more notice now for it, a little bit more sort of notification, and people are coming. And it's either word of mouth or what. But they see it on backs of taxis and things, and they say, oh yes, that's that piece. But look, being not a commercially viable thing, it's if the opera company didn't do these pieces or do this particular piece, it would never be seen, I don't think, or a small theatre company would probably do it. So you wouldn't sort of get the grand scale of what the opera company are able to do. So I'm sometimes saddened when now we have these performances left that I'd love people to experience this piece of theatre, because I don't think it will be on again because it is in the opera company repertoire, but I won't be a part of it, I don't think. Of course, Mrs. Lovett can't go on and on, It's sort of like I was 54 when I first did it. Now I'm,
Tiny bit older.
That's it. Oh yes, tiny bit older, Di.
When you you look at your career, which is opera, with the big gaps between the shows, and then there's 8 performances a week, and then you have cabaret, which is a different thing altogether. Tell us about how those different things work and what you prefer.
I prefer cabaret, and I prefer the smaller the room, the better. It's just completely different from a musical theatre world, 8 shows a week, you know, doing a character, performing a character. I would much prefer to do this piece 8 times a week, I tell you, because it's just so stressful to have these gaps in between.
Is it? So it's not so much a rest as a... Do you have to gear yourself up again?
Mm-hmm. Extraordinarily so. I mean, you know, these roles have got to be in your body. They've got to be sort of, you've got to live with them and eat with them, have breakfast with them. You know, this is what it's about. And I hate leaving this piece for 4 days and coming back to it. I really do. So yes, it's really quite psyching yourself up for this thing, because you know it's weird. Suddenly I'm here, and then suddenly I'm out there doing all that and gabbling like an old, you know, fishwife with a million words to rhyme, and you know, you have to keep going over it and over it. You know, every day you do it. Every day in your head you do it. So I prefer no gaps. But musical theatre, I mean, 8 shows a week. Whoever invented 8 shows a week for musical theatre should be shot, because it's just it's too much.
Probably the same person that invented the Australian Workplace Agreement, I should think.
Possibly. But look, it's 8 shows a week, just death-defying, really. And I mean, I've been disciplined into that after all this time in the theatre, 40 years of it, and that's sort of. I think once you realise that that's your. You know, your thing, and musical theatre definitely was my thing in the beginning, and I never dreamt that I'd be in this world, but I'm how fortunate, because it's been extraordinary ever since the opera company came knocking on my door, my cabaret door in '85, to say, you know, would you like to take over this role of doing Katusha in the Mikado? So that was the beginning of my association with the opera company, and it's been fantastic, absolutely fantastic, for all these 22 years or so.
Yes, the Mikado, actually, that role was a real turning point, wasn't it? I think for the company too, to actually realise that there were other places to go for great performers.
Well, maybe. I don't know, Di, whether I was the first one. I don't think so. I mean, Dennis Olsen has been there. You know, he was sort of a person that they brought in. So maybe we did start something. I don't know. I haven't sort of gone down to find out that. But certainly since then, a lot of people have come in from all walks of life to the company, and you know, had a sort of a dream run with something or other. Yeah.
So if a gap of 4 days does your head in, what does 8 shows a week do to you physically? Yeah, it exhausts you. It's Sunday or the Monday, if you get the Monday off. Now, you know, they've sometimes started Sunday shows, and so Monday, that day off is just so precious, I can't tell you, and you have to rest, you just have to rest. So it's a life, it's a particular way of life, you know. You sometimes it's best to be away from home, because when you're at home you get involved with all sorts of other things. But when you're away, you're forced to rest, I suppose, or you're forced to be quiet. But the theatre demands a lot of discipline before you arrive here. You know, you have to be rested, and you have to be prepared for what's about to happen. You shouldn't be drunk.
No, you shouldn't be drunk. That's a good thing. And you know, as fit as possible to execute what you need.
Do you do anything particular to stay fit?
Just walk. Walk. Yeah, it's quite good.